This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Mawala ka muli, di na ako papayag na muling mabawi. Ating kalayaan kay tagal na nating mitid, di na papayagang mabawi muli. Magkakapit-pisig, libo-libong tao, kay sarap pala maging Pilipino. Sama-sama iisa ang atikain, kailanman di na maaalipin. Ang lupang Pilipino sa mundo, mapayapa para ang pagbabago. Katotohanan, kalayaan, katarungan ay kayang makamit na walang lahas. Basta't magkaisa tayong lahat.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Kunanan. Now, on this show, we talk about everything under the sun. And tonight, once again, about politics. And very timely because just a few days ago, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of the 1986 EDSA Revolution. In a few months' time, we're going to have another round of elections here in the Philippines. And joining us to kick off tonight's event, discussion is one of the straightest shooters around, calls it like he sees it, political analyst, patriot, nationalist, Hans Palacios, and he is the spokesperson of candidate Rafi Alunan. Good evening, Hans. Welcome to Philippines
Good
Uncut.
evening, buddy.
No, you know, Hans, I really like having you here because, as I mentioned to the viewers just now, you call it how you see it, no? As opposed to other people who like to overanalyze and stuff. You kind of have a way of getting down and cutting through the butter with a hot knife and getting down to really the core of the issue. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, for people who don't know who Hans Palacios is, quick introduction. Who are you, Hans?
Well, I'm a businessman. I'm also a natural health advocate. And I was a student leader, although I was a student leader in England. I was a student union president of my university. And then when I came back in 1987 after the revolution, I was one of those who came home and because we had change. And I was one of the hopefuls, you know. I was one of the people who hoped that there was going to be something new for us.
Okay.
And it's already 30 years since that time, since we returned.
Yeah. Now, what are you involved in these days? I said that we have campaign, this is really campaign period. We've got an election around the corner,
Yes.
national elections and local elections. And
Yes.
how are you involved?
Well, I've decided to help one of the candidates and some of the party list groups. And I'm still deciding on myself. So I want to do more, to share what I know and the experience I've had. I've been in the elections since '92. I've been with the Liberal Party. I was helping Jovi Salonga and Nene at the time. And
Pimentel.
Yeah, and Makapanton Abbas, I just saw his
in the video.
face in the video.
Yes,
And then in
yes.
the '95, in '98, we were in the Lim campaign. And in 2004, I was with the Pig campaign. 2010, the Arab Greening campaign. But all through that time, I was also running.
Yes, you also ran several, I think, protest candidacies.
Yes, in the
to-
4th district of Quezon City.
Go against some big wigs.
Yeah, the speaker,
Yeah.
to be specific. Yeah, see.
The Speaker of the House
Yeah.
of Representatives. All right.
Yes.
All
So
right.
that's how I'm. And I'm also a businessman. So most of our businesses are in the provinces. So we know what's going on. I like to keep my feet on the ground, have a feel of what's going on.
What's going on now, quickly? You're now spokesperson of former Interior Secretary Rafael
Rafi.
Alunan,
And he was also the tourism secretary.
and also Tourism Secretary. What's going on these days on the campaign trail?
Well, if you notice, there's such a big difference now from politics that you had even just 6 years ago during the campaign between Noy Noy and Arab and all the other candidates. Because this time, you're looking at a different scenario. The parties don't even have a full slate. They can't even produce 12 decent senatorial candidates.
A complete lineup. They can't.
They can't produce that. And
Yeah.
you have parties without candidates themselves. They're all guest candidates, so they're just endorsing one senatorial candidate can jump from party to
Like
party.
a guest candidate.
Yeah,
no?
just as a guest
candidate, which
yeah.
I think is strange. In other countries, you wouldn't see this really. No?
Yes, yes.
I mean, you have party loyalty because parties do stand for something, right?
Well,
ideology, for instance.
I guess what it's saying is that our political system has deteriorated in such a great scale that now people are beginning to see through the system already. See, and I think in the second part we'll be able to discuss that when you have your next guest.
Yes.
See, so even the people now are beginning to question: is this the way we want politics to run on forever? I mean, the money politics seems to be changing, have changed things already. That people are looking towards something new.
Do you feel that really? Because, politics and money, anywhere you go in the world, in America, in Britain, in South Africa, anywhere you go, really, politics is about money. I mean, that's the fuel that runs the machine. No?
Well, I'd like to think we're a microcosm of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And the macrocosm, you just have to look at the U.S. right now. The big political parties seem to control the one front runner of the Republican Party.
Interesting stuff, interesting times.
They never
Absolutely,
banked on
absolutely.
the guy, and there was somebody.
He was a joke at first.
Yeah,
He was a
Newt
joke. Yeah.
Gingrich even said just the other day that he never went to the process, the initiation process,
Yes.
whatever that means, because that runs deep. So now he was a joke, and all of
Total
a sudden,
outsider. We're talking about Donald Trump, of course.
and now he looked like a certainty. Why? Because times have changed so badly in the United States that he knows how to talk to the people.
Yeah.
See?
Wait, let's go back to EDSA because we celebrated EDSA anniversary a few weeks ago.
Yes, the 30th anniversary.
30th anniversary,
Yeah.
very big event, but also very quiet.
Yes.
Considering it was the 30th anniversary.
Yes, that's right.
And interesting play for us. You said that you were hopeful. There was hope, and always past tense.
Yes.
What is your feeling now? I mean,
Well, I'll give you a background. When EDSA was happening, I was in university. I was in the final semester of my college life. And our common room was showing live. EDSA was being shown live in our common room in London, England. That's where I
It's been
studied.
a very proud moment for you.
And I was also the president of the student union at that time. So I was very proud that people were seeing that we Filipinos were doing something. And graduating that year, I knew I was coming home to something new.
A better world.
Better world, a new beginning. There was a lot of optimism in coming home. Now we're 30 years. We have our 30-year anniversary for our university this year in August. So we're celebrating two types of university anniversaries, 30 years. I know ours is going to be a happy one, the one in my university. But this one, when we celebrated EDSA in February of this year, what was there to celebrate?
Yeah.
50 years ago, the poverty level was around 55 to 60% in this country.
Yes.
Now it's 90%. 50 years ago, there was no such thing as an OFW. OFW started in the mid-60s.
Yes.
Now we have 14 million Filipinos working abroad.
Because there's no opportunity here.
There's no opportunity here. We have a big sari-sari store called the Philippines where 14 million Filipinos send money to the Philippines. The money just comes in for nothing produced. We don't export anything, but the money keeps coming in. We have tourism, we have so many other industries, the BPO industry. But how come we're still second to the bottom in Asia?
Yes. We can't seem to get our act together.
We have natural resources. We don't exploit. Can you believe it? We have $40 billion in U.S. debt papers. We can afford to invest $40 billion of our hard-earned money in U.S. debt papers and earn nothing for it.
So Hans, what went wrong? I mean, like you said, there's a lot of hope, and I get that. That's a sense we get these days, that, okay, we celebrate this 30th anniversary of what's supposed to be a very momentous occasion in our history, but these days, hardly anyone cares about it anymore, no?
That's the operative word. Nobody cared. After EDSA, we entrusted these people.
What happened? What went wrong?
Well, what went wrong is that when there was a sudden 180-degree turn, a power shift, even in ownership of the big corporations,
Yep,
and
yes.
big change in the players. The players suddenly, who were denied all those years, suddenly
We
made
had new faces, yeah?
new
We had
faces,
new
making
people
money,
power, yeah.
and the formula was at the time was, let's protect ourselves with politicians. So they started buying the politicians, the corruptors. They started to corrupt the politicians. The politicians themselves became investors. Some of those people behind Cory are now billionaires. You're looking at politicians who are big real estate magnates and all that. So what happened is that they just took over.
Would you say it's worse now than it was back then?
Well, did we send 14 million people out to bail out this economy during the Marcos times? We didn't. Everybody's hitting on one person, but look at what we're doing now. We're hitting at the whole spectrum of government,
Yeah.
politicians included.
Yes. And you know, this kind of disillusionment and disappointment with EDSA and the succeeding administration came,
Yes.
you know, after EDSA, after Marcos. I think a clear indication of this feeling really is the strength now of the leading vice presidential candidate, Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.
Yes, that's
I mean,
right.
surprisingly, he's really surprised a lot of people.
Yes.
His strength in this campaign, and
Yes.
he's now the front runner
Yes.
in all the surveys, and you can feel it. You can feel that there is that momentum for him.
Yes.
And Hans, tell me, where is it coming from?
Well, it comes from,
I mean, he's been demonized by this administration. I mean, left and right. I mean, the president wastes no opportunity
Yes.
in hitting Bongbong Marcos whenever he can. But he remains resurgent. He remains formidable, and it looks like he's very well poised to, as if things go the way they are, to clinch the vice presidency.
but look at it, for the last more than 15 years, EDSA had been forgotten. After Ramos started, he celebrated EDSA every year in a grand way. And after Ramos, it stopped.
Yeah.
So, and then you're not even talking about EDSA or the Marcos years in the university, in the schools anymore. So, what base are you going to rely on? You're not, the voting public is now coming in, are not educated about the past. They don't know any history.
But shouldn't have all that. I mean, okay, let's say even if you didn't talk about you know the Marcos years and you know you didn't talk about EDSA, but you know shouldn't have let's say if the succeeding administrations had performed very well,
Yes.
shouldn't people have forgotten about? I mean, just in comparison to what happened during.
But we're
Marcos'
doing
time.
worse, aren't we? We're doing worse. They said we started deteriorating during the Marcos years, but people really don't understand what was happening in those times, how the communists were coming in and arming the insurgents here, how he felt that he had to protect the Filipinos from. Well, that's all lost in translation anyway, so they don't know what was going on then. But at that time, we were still very respectable. We had a good defense. We could defend
yes.
ourselves. We produced rice. We were one of the major.
That is on record, actually.
Yeah, we had very good agriculture. Education was very high at that time. And the peso, well, the peso, I don't know, but even if you look at it, you compare the numbers, the peso was pretty strong at that time. And we really had just the peace and order problem. That was just it.
Yeah,
See, we didn't have the criminality that we have right now.
that's true.
See?
That's true.
So there was peace and order at the time. So all the ingredients for a good society were there, and they're lacking now.
What about the political system? Would you say that the political system today is more corrupt than it was? I'm talking about the system,
Yes.
back then.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Let's talk about pork barrel,
Yes.
right?
Look at the billions of pesos, or it works out into the trillions now, that are being siphoned and given to as rewards for all those who support the administration, all the friends.
You know, it's interesting that you should mention this reward system because it's on record,
Yes.
that the pork barrel allocations during this last 6 years of the second Aquino administration have been the highest.
Yes.
Highest ever.
If-
4 times even that of Arroyo's.
Yes, of Arroyos,
Yeah.
especially if you toe the line with government. See, I know some congressmen right now who are having a hard time because even their own projects right now, the funding was stopped. They were already commitments. So if you're not in the good books of the administration, you're not going to be funded.
Yes. Well, I guess that's how it is in politics everywhere. But it's just, for me, it's just shocking the way that this system has been so abused, more so
More so now.
this last 6 years.
Yes, these last 6 years. Look, they were able to remove a chief justice, dangling money in front of the judges and all the alleged dangling of money anyway. And then look at everything that has happened ever since the typhoon Yolanda. There's a discrepancy with the donations, the funds that have been there. The Napoles cases, the DAP. Where does it end?
Yes. I guess also, you know, the strength of Marcos now, of Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, is really a protest, right? I mean, like, because a lot of people, as you said, coming from PEDSA had a lot of hope,
Yes.
a lot of optimism, and then to see that dashed, I guess a lot of it's coming from there.
And another thing is this administration didn't sing its successes. It blamed its failure
There you go.
on
Yes.
previous administration. It's always done that. Every speech, even in the USA, it was being brought up in front of the Americans. I mean, what strength do we find in an administration like that?
Yes, yes. I mean, I personally could not understand that.
See,
What kind of the kind of leadership that
and
would
then
do that.
2016, we're looking now at the presidential elections, and we have such a weak field. I mean, there's nothing that challenges the mind when you look at the lineup.
Why is that? How come this seems to be the weakest, let's say the weakest slate or weakest possible choices we've ever had, I think.
Yeah,
Why is that? How come our country, and we have a lot of talented people, you know, I mean, we have a lot of good people, how come we can't seem to field a good person?
maybe it's because historically it's become very difficult for the people who I'll talk about after the 2010 election. The standard bearer of the administration,
Gilbert Teodoro.
everybody's been talking about how he could have been
Yeah.
a good leader.
Mhm.
He was the one who should have been leading us after that. It would have not been this way. But he learned this lesson, didn't he? Even the administration learned its lesson that you cannot stop a freight train. See, it all jive. The money, the necropolitics. Cory had just
I
died.
just passed away, yes.
Yes, and a good person like
Teodoro.
Teodoro, he's left in the wayside. His party even abandoned him.
I guess we also have ourselves to blame as Filipinos because, and I'm talking as a
This
whole,
is
people.
discouraging. You know, that's why the good guys didn't even want to run anymore. You had people like Perlas wanting to run. You had all these other people. You had
Anyway, I mean, let's talk about your candidate, Rafael Luran. Very
Yes.
qualified.
yeah.
I
He
mean,
was DILG secretary.
Absolutely. I mean,
He was
a
negotiating.
reputation without question.
He was the tourism secretary,
yeah.
and then he worked in the private sector. And then you're just talking about one person who's fed up with watching our politicians throw our future away. I mean, not their future, the future of the Filipinos. We're 100 million of us already.
And he's running even though it is an uphill climb for him. I mean, as you said, he's running as an independent, as a guest candidate perhaps, but clearly I think he could use more machinery,
Yes,
more
definitely.
resources. I mean, that is really a challenge for him. But see, he's running because precisely he probably fed
What-
up with the system.
And some people, there are very few people who don't lose hope. I know a lot of people have lost hope. But if they see that light at the end of the tunnel, proverbial light of the tunnel that a guy like Rafael Lunan has to offer, maybe, you know, it might spark something.
Hans, hold that hope thought. So guys, more of Philippines Uncut, and let's talk politics when we return.